Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Treya Tarot. This is the collective reading for Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. I'm using the Dark Woods Tarot today by Sasha. And I've already shuffled and cut the deck, so I'm all ready to go. If you like these readings, please like, comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload something new. All right. Sorry, I'm on the floor today. All right, let's see if I can get these upright and visible. Okay, so first, right off the press, we have Ten of Swords, Judgment, Five of Pentacles, and the Five of Swords. It's interesting, while I was doing my preparation for this reading, some of these cards did come out. So I thought they were more just from the first shuffle or something, but it seems like maybe they were the appropriate read to begin with. So the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is usually about self-inflicted or self-imposed pain cycles. Things where we can't necessarily get ourselves out of the same thought patterns or realities. What's interesting about the Ten of Swords, though, as a start, it tells me that there's something moving through. But I knew this on Monday. There's definitely a pain cycle that's ending, something that's transitioning through to something totally different. That's been coming up a lot, quite frankly, in most of my readings. But the pivot point this week is really about choosing how to move forward in a way that actually benefits everyone involved. So the Ten of Swords tells me that there's an individual potential process of ending a self-inflicted cycle of belief or thought process that has been very painful. There's also the potential that that represents finally seeing past those belief systems that are painful, or those mental states that are no longer working. Judgment is about release. Five of Pentacles is about quote unquote being out in the cold, but it's also about the wound. I read the Five of Pentacles as the abandonment wound often, because it usually shows up in place of cups for some reason when we're dealing with a sense of abandonment. And I don't know if it's because of the connotation and the symbolism of the card, the idea that the warmth is, in that church over yonder, over and away from us, and we are stuck walking in the snow barefoot like that, guy in the card. Or if it's just because the experience of sudden change can alter our physical sense of security so incredibly that that five changes whether or not we are receptive after we experience that, whatever the influence or event was that's represented by that card. The Five of Swords is obviously about conflict. Often I read the Five of Swords as, again, self versus collective. So that's definitely mirroring Monday's reading, in that the Five of Swords is almost wholly about whether or not we will choose ourselves over the benefit of all. What I find interesting about this conundrum that this week has presented in every reading I've pulled for it, most of which were, off camera, because obviously I only uploaded Monday's reading so far, but the trajectory is the question. How painful is it to stay isolated versus how much work and effort do I have to expend to open up into the collective or the community that I'm actually trying to be part of? Okay. Two of Swords, which is also interesting. I was just listening to a reading that was discussing the Two of Swords. And the reader, gave me a really good additional connotation to that card as it pertains to the present, which I thought was interesting. She explains, and this is the channel Witch and Scythe on YouTube, she explains that the Two of Swords in the reading, I think she posted it today, is more about I am not threatening, you can pass. That image of I may be wielding the swords, but I'm not an aggressor. But the Two of Swords for me is about finding the third path forward. It's about finding a choice that actually encompasses the meeting of all needs, as opposed to picking between two previously held options that may not actually suit the needs of the client. So the Two of Swords for me tells me there's a third option forward. And if we don't pay attention, we'll get distracted from that third option. That Ace of Swords following that tells me that the third option is on the way. Kind of like the Three of Pentacles showed up. The collaboration showed up in Monday's reading. That Ace of Swords is that third option, that third way forward, third belief, third thought process, the new idea, anything like that that actually presents the opening. Five of Wands, also about conflict. So there's a lot of fives here. 3 5s in a reading for me tells me that this is a big change. It's a big change that actually affects our inner world, our sense of security, and our sense of purpose and creativity and passion in our relationships with ourselves. This feels like a big change, which I also reiterated on Monday. But the release factor, so midpoint through the week, I'm wondering how many of us are experiencing release from a cycle that we're really done with, that keeps us isolated. Temperance, finding balance. The Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment, contentment. The Empress, all things beautiful, falling in love, gestation of an idea or project, pregnancy. There's quite a few different ways you can read the Empress. High Priestess, and the Page of Swords. All right, so now I know how I'll read the Empress. The Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. The Empress is the manifestation of the dream. So something's coming to fruition, which is funny because the reading I was watching that I mentioned earlier with the Two of Swords also mentioned something about coming to the end of the line and crossing over into something else. It was about having completely worked through a process that is now breaking open like a portal into something else. And that Empress card definitely represents portals, usually of bringing something into reality, into manifestation, but it's definitely Venusian in its qualities. So think of what Venus represents: beauty, truth, love, all the soft things, all of the indulgences. The High Priestess tells me that there is a intuitive bent towards the end of this process for those of us that resonate with it that may not be, how do I say this, obvious. It may not be obvious right away, but there's this trust in how we're being guided internally. And the Page of Swords is that new message. I want to say the quiet nudge from your intuition that gives you the new idea. That's what the Page of Swords tells me, that High Priestess and that page work together to get you the information that you need so that you can move forward. Seven of Wands, again, manipulation. This also came up. Well, no, this is not Seven of Swords, excuse me. Seven of Wands is valiance and self-protection in the face of adversity. But there's this experience with this seven of like standing up for yourself, what's real for you, what drives you, what matters to you. King of Swords. There's an aggressive push here. Again, King of Swords came up in Monday's reading too. But the King of Swords here is about pushing forward in a new direction with very strong focus. And then the Magician. The Magician and the High Priestess in one reading. So I love that pair. The Magician and the High Priestess create reality, essentially. They're the part in the Fool's journey where the integration between the higher knowledge and the ability, the skill set needed to bring things into fruition or into reality get solidified. So not only do we have the Empress, which is the birthing process in that respect, so it's the opening up to love and creation, right? But it's also paired with the High Priestess and the Magician, which are the avenues by which we do that work. So there's like a recommitment here to our own sense of intuitive drive. There's I know that even though this might be uncomfortable for me, that I'm heading in the right direction. Or I know that even though this doesn't seem on the surface one way, that my intuition is telling me that this is the truth. And so I will go in this direction. So there's, I don't want to say a conflicting image of reality versus intuition play here, but it feels a lot to me like a lot of people are suddenly paying very close attention to what they know internally and where they're being guided, regardless of how this looks to them on the outside based on their past issues. This looks like an exercise in self-trust, an exercise in creation, dream manifestation. So people actually getting to see the potential realized of what they really want to be in the world. I like this. It does kind of echo what Monday's reading said, but Page of Pentacles, so Page of Swords, Page of Pentacles, Ten of Cups. We're rewriting reality on some level for ourselves, for our groups and communities. There's something here about how do we start again and do it better this time? Ten of Cups. That's the family. That's fulfillment, emotional fulfillment, but also stability in emotional fulfillment. And then the Six of Pentacles, which also showed up on Monday. It feels to me like there's help here for those of us that find ourselves in need, but there's also this present restructuring of power dynamics, because the Six of Pentacles is about somebody with a lot helping out those with little, but it implies this potential. It's not always the same, but this potential for a power play, wielding power over another or over others in an unhealthy manner, in an effort to keep the unexpected help altruistic. It could help us to be very careful and aware of any sort of unhealthy power dynamic that might come up through this process, through this week. So that's the only thing I can see as a potential wrench in the process, I guess. But the whole reading is powerfully pointing to a new experience, just like Monday's reading was. I almost feel like it's just echoed the same thing, but in different aspects. Like instead of it being all pentacles, it's swords. You know, there's so much here about change, changing ourselves, becoming part of community, learning how to rely on people, learning how to give without expectation or without the experience of what do I owe you now? Or what do you owe me? There's an open-heartedness to all of this, and I really like that. So I hope everybody's doing okay and having a good week. If you want to share your story with me, please leave it in the comments. I love reading the comments. So I will see you on Friday for the weekend read, and have a good day. All right. Bye.